Thank you for downloading this edition of The Why Factor on the BBC World Service, the programme which seeks to explore why we do the things we do. In the spirit of the season, this edition will be asking, why is it so hard to plan the perfect party?
It is now 5 o'clock. We got here 2 hours ago to set up for tonight, and we're very lucky that we did because it's taken us a lot longer than we thought it would.
Kim Glasgow is throwing a party.
We've set up, all of the cards are on the wall now, all the magic decorations are starting to come up, and got some fairy lights, and yeah, so hopefully we'll get everything ready for doors open at 7.
I went to a marvelous party, I went to a marvelous party, I went to a marvelous party, and I couldn't have liked it more.
But this is more than just a fun night out. Kim's being graded on how well she throws this party.
Essentially, yes. And all the planning and preparation that goes into it as well.
This event is a Christmas season fundraiser for a charity called the Teenage Cancer Trust. But it's also coursework for Kim and her fellow classmates.
I'm a postgraduate student at the Event Academy.
Kim is training to become a professional event planner.
And I'm currently doing my live project, which is the final part of our 3-month intensive programme. In 2 weeks, it takes a team of 16 and a lot of help from a lot of people. I don't think people realise how much planning goes into making like an effortless night.
On the guest list is the course director, Rosie Ham.
We are going to be assessing them on the success of this party, which has lots of things that comes with it. You know, logistically, does it work? Can people get to the bar? Did the food come out? But also, what's the spirit of the event like? Have they really captured the cause of Teenage Cancer Trust? They're obviously aiming to raise lots of money, so did they achieve that? So there's lots of different things that have to work together to be successful.
In 1999, I threw a New Year's Eve party to celebrate the new millennium. At the time, headlines were filled with dire warnings that something called the Y2K bug would obliterate electronics everywhere. So, along with my 4-month-old infant dressed in a baby grow fashioned to resemble a tuxedo, friends gathered round our house to help watch over the newborn and see if the white goods would self-destruct. Neither the baby nor the appliances melted down, and it turned out to be a great party. But that was 20 years ago, and I haven't been able to pull off another gathering like that since. I'm Sandra Canthal, and this is the Why Factor on the BBC World Service. And in the spirit of the season, I'll be asking, why is it so hard to throw the perfect party?
So this is our classroom, this is where we train, this is where the magic happens.
Claire Derrick is one of the founders of the Event Academy, a business set up to offer professional training in the field of event management. Based in London, they attract students from all over the world.
At the moment, we've got people from Brazil, from all over Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia. We train about 800 students a year in event management and party planning.
I didn't realise you could train to plan parties.
You can. It's all part of the event management process. You have to be a detailed person because all of the wow factors are in the detail. Basically, it's the why, the what, the who, the when and the where.
If you're throwing a holiday party in the next few weeks, you'd think you'd have the why covered. But, according to Claire Derrick, there's more complexity to it than that.
So, am I organising this Christmas party because it makes me feel good? Or I just love to have people in my house? Or maybe there's some people who've had a really difficult year and I want to give them a great time. These are called your objectives. And once you've established why you are organising this party, it makes the planning process easier. Then you come to the what. So what's it going to be? And this is where you get creative. What do I want people to experience as they walk through the door? But my advice is less is more. Save yourself the hassle of having to organise too much for that special day of yours.
But if you're not the type of person who's good at keeping things simple, there's help to be found.
You can invest £1 million in a party, but you can't invest £1 million in an atmosphere.
There's always the option of a professional party planner like Liz Taylor.
I have a saying in the business: you never go home thinking you had a great piece of chicken. You always go home saying, oh my God, the entertainment was fabulous, the ambience was there, it was amazing, and I've had far too much to drink. So there are your key 3 ingredients: entertainment, lighting, and dare I say, alcohol.
Liz is the managing director of the Manchester-based Taylor Lynn Corporation in the north of England. She's worked with a long list of interesting clients, sometimes with very short notice.
At first I thought it was a wind-up call. It was a Monday. Everyone phones on a Monday morning. The client, she said, I want you to do all the theming. It's the Winter White Ball. We've got a private dinner for 250 in the Orangery in Kensington Palace, and we've got a concert in a marquee for 400. And I said, who's your entertainment? Have you got entertainment organised? And she said, yes, we've got Taylor Swift and John Bon Jovi. So that sort of put me in my place. I had my head and put my suit on, hot-footed it down to Kensington Palace, and worked for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, which was just phenomenal. I mean, not on a one-to-one, obviously, but I met them. And the Duke spontaneously got up on stage and sang with Taylor Swift and John Bon Jovi.
A clip of that performance went viral. And yes, you did just hear Prince William sharing a mic with John Bon Jovi and Taylor Swift. Liz Taylor works with a staff of 5, along with a core of trusted suppliers, to create parties of all scopes and sizes. Though she wouldn't reveal to me exactly how much her services cost when I asked her, is hiring a party planner something of an extravagance?
What people sometimes fail to understand is that the knowledge can be cost-saving. Extravagant is a very difficult adjective to identify. You might say that me creating Wicked in a drinks reception with a witch that bends and greets you because the 18-year-old girl just adored that show, and then dropping a wall down and taking guests down the yellow brick road into Oz, where every Perspex table was built on Dorothy's red shoe. I mean, I suppose that's extravagant. For me, it's not. It's exciting. It's a design-led project. And maybe when Diana Ross got on stage to perform, OK, that's a little bit extravagant.
Quite obviously, not many of us can hire Diana Ross to sing at our do, or throw parties like a royal family. So what hope is there for anyone with a small space and a limited budget to throw a show-stopping evening?
I actually think living in a small flat makes it very sexy. So, you put lanterns outside, you identify the location by candles, walkways of lights, and then you open the front door, tiny little fairy lights. As I'm talking to you now, you can actually feel this really sexy, warm environment that you're walking into. And then you've got a little bit of soul or R&B in the background as you tap your foot into the kitchen, where on the side of the kitchen, there's a host of cocktails. I mean, I'm very into cocktail presentations, so I would get empty soup cans and put your own label around them. This is Millie's party. If the space is tight, great. It makes it more exclusive.
Back at the party the Event Academy students are throwing, with clipboards in hand, Kim and her fellow student, Henry Kahn, are working through the evening's checklist. So it's 6 o'clock now. You're going over the 6 o'clock checklist, is that right?
6, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so TCT signage has been put outside. I already checked that, so that's good. One for a lantern with fairy lights. Should we put on the lights now?
They're expecting over 100 guests to turn up, which brings up a question. How many people should you invite to your perfect party?
You've got kind of 2 options. Do you want a sort of big, anonymous party where you might meet some people you didn't know, or do you want to strengthen and build your existing relationships? And if you want a better party, I'd go for the second.
Robin Dunbar is a professor of evolutionary psychology at Oxford University. He's well known for research on how many people we can maintain in our social networks. The answer is 150, and has come to be known as the Dunbar number.
So these are relationships that are reciprocated. You know where they stand in your social world. They know where you stand. in their social world. But in fact, it's just a little bit more complicated than that. So if you thought of your social world as sort of circles round you, it would be rather like where you drop a stone in. The ripples going out represent different layers of relationship, different layers of friendship. So right next to you is a small layer of very few friends which are very intense. So these are in particular what I call the shoulders to cry on friends. They're sort of your intimate friends and family.
The number of those friends we typically have is 5.
And then outside that is another layer of less close friends. You might think of those as perhaps best friends.
These typically number 15.
Then another layer beyond that of good friends.
Most of us have about 50 of these friends.
And then finally you hit the figure of 150 of just friends. And we just see those layers so consistently in all sorts of contexts and data sets. It's unbelievably robust. People don't deviate all that much from those numbers.
Robin Dunbar's numbers may be reliably constant, but the people we meet at our friends' parties often are not. And what happens when the party's seated with those people that you really... somehow everyone seems to run to the bar going, I just need to freshen up my drink.
Well, therein lies the problem. If you have nobody who's a good sort of party animal, if you like, then what you're going to get a lot of is people standing in corners in very small groups, talking to each other, or maybe even not talking to each other, looking at their shoes and sipping their drinks faster and faster. And I suppose it goes back to the fact that if you have a lot of people who don't interact very socially, as it were, don't smile a lot, don't engage with you in conversation and the like, and sort of throw themselves into the party a little bit, then it's a bit like having dinner with Mr. Spock from Star Trek, this deadpan face and not a crack of a smile. And that's what makes you want to run to the bar.
So rather than having the personalities all collide in the room, think first, who am I inviting and why? Gatherings are powerful when they have a purpose.
If you're worried about that one person who turns up at a party and changes the mood of the whole room, perhaps advice from someone skilled in conflict resolution could help.
In my mother's household is this kind of Indian, British, Buddhist, vegetarian, agnostic, liberal, progressive, global family. And I would leave that house and travel about a mile and enter my father and stepmother's house. And it's this white American, evangelical Christian, conservative, Republican, climate skeptic family. And I was deeply a part of both. I joke that my name is Priya Parker, and you can kind of guess which side is which.
Priya Parker is the author of the book, The Art of Gathering, How We Meet and Why It Matters.
A woman called me up a little while ago. She wanted to throw a dinner party and she wanted my tips. And I think she thought I was going to say, put the fish knife here, put the wine glass here. But instead I asked her this question: what is the biggest need in your life that by bringing together a group of people, you might be able to address? And she paused and she said, I don't know if this counts, but I'm a worn out mom. What if I hosted a dinner party for other worn out moms? And I said, great, give it a name. And she said, the Worn Out Moms Hootenanny. And then I said, great, give it a rule. She decided to make a rule that if you talk about your kids, you have to take a shot, like a shot of alcohol, a shot of tequila. She started getting really excited and ended up having this really beautiful, hilarious night.
Priya Parker advocates strongly that the need to understand the purpose of any gathering, big or small, grand or laid back, applies to both guests and hosts. And some of the people who throw the best parties have personality traits which may surprise you.
Some of the best hosts are actually introverts because they create gatherings that they would like to attend. And they're also not relying on the charisma of their personality to win the evening. A good host really signals to the group what's going to make a great evening and then to enforce it. Many of our gatherings suffer because we tend to be too chill of hosts. In the room, a good host is somebody who protects guests from each other, connects their guests to each other, and temporarily equalizes them so that the hierarchy that might be true outside or in the office place is more irrelevant inside the room.
Back at the venue in North London, where the Event Academy students are planning their party, time is marching on. So, Henry,
Yeah.
half hour to go. How's it going?
Good, yeah, we're just doing our technical checks right now, and we're all set. Everyone is going to go into their places, and we're ready to go.
Where's the fire dancer?
Oh, she just arrived right now. She's right there. She's going to set up right now.
But there is one type of party which can turn out to be either a celebration of the season or an unintended detour to professional ruin. What about the psychological minefield which is the office Christmas party?
Yes, avoid it like the plague.
Why is that?
In principle, the answer is it's, of course, a very good idea because you spend a third of your day at work on average across the week. So you spend a lot of time with these people. Some of them you get to know very well and they do become your conventional friends. So the idea of having a sort of bit of a party which allows people who work together to get to know each other better in a more relaxed environment, is a perfectly sensible thing to do. The trouble is they tend to get a bit out of hand if drink flows far too much. You're probably better taking people and making them walk up a mountain and having one beer at the end than giving them unlimited quantities of alcohol.
If you think about it, and I guess this is true of a lot of workplaces, what parties do is they give everybody the chance to forget about work and talk to people that they will have seen every day but probably not had a conversation with since the last party. That's the other amazing thing about the Christmas parties is the dynamics. You and I both know that there are some people in our department who are perhaps a bit louder than other people. There are some people who are quiet and wouldn't necessarily say that much in the office. But when you go to a party and you're sat around a table, they flip.
Ben Carter is a fellow producer, a member of our department for years, which is very lucky for us because he has a special talent. So, Ben, when anyone in this department has a party to plan, they turn to you.
They do.
Why is that?
I'm not sure. I think it's probably because about 10 years ago when I joined the department or joined the BBC, there weren't really any parties or any social events. And I thought, best way of getting to know people is having a party.
So what are your tips and tricks?
Over the years, I've kind of learnt that it's a lot more complex and complicated than just picking a date, picking a venue, getting everybody to turn up. I have learnt the hard way that you cannot please everyone. So just from point of origin of a party, you have to pick a date, maybe a month or 2 months in advance, and you send an email around saying, we're going to go and have a party on this date. And immediately you will get 2 or 3 people replying going, oh, I really want to come, but I can't. Can we change the date? And you can never please everybody. So you forget about that and don't really worry about it. And then venue's another interesting thing. So you need somewhere that is big enough that it can hold, well, for our department, 50, 60 people. But then people say, I can't deal with it being too loud, which means that you can't really have it in that small a room. And you've got to think about the acoustics.
Has anyone ever overstayed their welcome?
Without a doubt. I have literally dragged people downstairs and actually put people into taxis and check with the driver what the address is that they're going to, and then confirming with the person in that taxi that that is where they live, just to make sure that they get home. I mean, this is the other thing about it. You do have a duty of care. You can't set all this up, get loads of alcohol, get a load of food, put people in a room, and then not take responsibility at the other end when there are people that are wobbling at the end of the night. And the other thing as well is people always leave scarves.
It's 5 minutes till opening doors. Now it's 4.
Guests are already outside, so are we all feeling good?
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Does everyone know exactly what they're doing, or they have any questions of what's happening throughout the night? No? All good?
Okay, cool. Positions. Yeah, enjoy it and have fun.
Is everything as it should be?
Yes. Just in time.
Before I started making this program, I thought the life of a party planner would be brimming with glitz and glamour. In fact, what it's really overflowing with is stress. According to one study by an American recruitment site, firefighters, police officers, military personnel, and airline pilots have the most stressful jobs in the world. But coming in a surprising 5th on that list, event planner.
Being a party planner is very stressful. And I think that, in fairness, is budget driven. You know, if you were giving me £250,000 to make a party for you, you would expect me to take the stress and take the responsibility for it.
Listener, I will never have £250,000 to spend on a party.
Some people like to rock, some people like to roll, but moving and a grooving's gonna satisfy my soul. Let's have a party.
You end up a psychologist, a psychiatrist, an advisor, floral designer, an invitation designer. You're all these things, and people rely on you. You're the punch bag. If something goes wrong, it's your fault. And if something goes right, invariably, they take all the credit. But that's fine, because they'll use me again.
When you ask the question, how do I throw the perfect party? First of all, it means that there's an objective definition of perfection. And second, we have associated perfection with the things or the stuff of the gathering. Do you have the right wine or eggnog? Do you have the perfect pie? Is your tinsel sparkling? Part of the pursuit of perfection is we're actually pursuing perfection around the wrong things. We should be pursuing perfection around how to create meaning with each other, how to create connection with each other.
Has it turned out the way you thought it would?
Yeah, it's turned out better than we thought. We're really, really happy. The venue is full and everyone is just having such a great time.
And are you having a good time?
Yes, I'm having a great time.
Kim, Henry and their classmates ended up raising several £1,000s for the Teenage Cancer Trust at their party and got top marks on their event planning skills from course instructor Rosie Ham.
It's massively rewarding, planning a party. It's like a roller coaster. It's getting up, 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 and it's building, the pressure's coming, and you get this massive peak where you watch all the guests walk into the room and they've just got these delightful looks on their faces and you think, oh my gosh, I'm responsible for that. And it's brilliant. But then you do get this down afterwards where you're having to cope with not having that pressure and stress in your life, which some people find is a bit of a downer. But then you start planning the next party.
And a bit of champagne couldn't hurt either.
I absolutely think the key to the party is the champagne.
At this time of year, parties spring up all around. You may be lucky enough to be on multiple guest lists, or go all in and throw one yourself. If your aim is to plan the flawless party, it may be worth remembering the adage, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Grab that glass of champagne, and in this season of festive good cheer, it should all be all right on the night.
I went to a marvelous party. The wait was so great that she had to go home, and I couldn't have liked it more.
You've been listening to The Y Factor on the BBC World Service. This programme was produced and presented by me, Sandra Canthal, and the editor was Andrew Smith.
Hello, it's me, Mercy Haruna here, one of the presenters of the BBC World Service podcast, Parentland. But I'm actually here to tell you about a special episode of My Indian Life. The Bollywood film star and presenter of My Indian Life, Kalki Koechlin, is pregnant. And obviously, she's very excited, but she's also a little bit nervous. So she wanted to sit down with me and ask lots of questions. We'll be talking about cesarean versus natural births. I've had both. We'll be sharing morning sickness stories. Mine was definitely worse than hers. And we'll also be talking about how she's having a child out of wedlock in India, which is something of a taboo. That's Kalki in Parentland, part of Kalki Presents My Indian Life from the BBC World Service. Just search for My Indian Life wherever you get your podcasts.